Ready?
Yeah,
Hello.
absolutely.
We are live now. Hi, Bart. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Not so sure if anyone joined yet. It's just 8 o'clock just now. So
Just
let's
now. Okay.
let's give our participants some time. Oh, I see you started to share over the Facebook now.
So, what are you gonna start? Maybe say something about yourself.
Yeah, so let us maybe shortly
How is
start.
yours?
Uh,
Yeah.
Very warm welcome in our first live episode of the series that we really want to make here. Before we go
Mhm.
to the topic, I believe it would be good that first we introduce ourselves,
Yeah.
and then slowly explain why we starting with the series. What is the background? Why we thought that it would make sense, and then go into the topic of the leadership. So let's go one by
Mhm.
one. Just very shortly, for the last 15 years, I'm from one side building, on the other side leading the IT teams and departments, and this is in a big international organization. So from this perspective, as you might imagine, the structures are quite complex. On one side, those are matrix structures. The teams are either on site, that was before the COVID time, of course, but also remote or hybrid. We also have the virtual teams, so the teams that are basically built around certain topic, cross-functional teams, and the voluntary teams. As you might guess, the dynamics in every of those teams is different, right? So now I lead infrastructure and security department on one side. The other side, I lead the global user engagement department. So all what is related with the service desks and a customer experience. And on top, I'm also engaged with the within the senior leadership team in the transformation office, where I lead transformation programs. And within this, I'm responsible for the agility and lean journey in our organization of 600 plus employees. On top, of course, jointly with Kasia in now developing the institute, responsible for the curriculum, but also sharing the knowledge. And this is actually where we're coming from. So,
Mhm.
Kasia, before we go forward,
I was thinking about the 15 years. I'm not sure if I'm that old. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I've got maybe not. It's similar experience just by the leading the teams, but not in IT section basically, and not such global like you, Bart. But I'm mainly my fields are in sales, so this is what what I'm grow up with. And I'm coming from like finance industry, basically. And I believe that our knowledge, our experience is a perfect combination for our audience, because we've got different views on this topic, basically similar, but it's still from coming from different ends. So like you mentioned, you are dealing with teams and senior management. I'm doing the same thing. Basically, I'm also focusing on like business consultation. So this is what I'm also doing at the moment for companies in UK, in Poland, and this is something where I came from.
but actually what drives us here and why we're starting, well, why we came with this thought to have this kind of series is that for the last years, as I explained, I work on the kind of edge of business, leadership, but also IT. And at
Mhm.
the end, in the last years, we heavily experimenting with various methodologies, frameworks, philosophies. You can name them, like coming from agile world related to Scrum, design thinking, objective key results, or all the lean topics, management 3.0. So this
Mhm.
made us think, okay, if we do this in IT, how other companies, non-IT companies, might benefit from those practices.
Benefiting.
Because if you consider that agility coming from software development originally, now is being more and more used in different environments and different companies. So the major driver for us here is exactly how these philosophies and approaches might be utilized in various companies. And that's why it's good to have you here, because the idea is to exchange the views but also have a discussion and Q&A. and it might be of value for the business. So originally coming from IT, but now with this technology revolution actually being spread around the world in different industries. Yeah.
And yeah, what I also think is, now because of COVID, the things changed drastically, and people need to like, you know, just change basically really quickly. I know everyone was thinking maybe it will take 3 months, 6 months, but now it's over a year, and it's still not, it's still not finished. So I also think that the new way of working really speed up because of the COVID, and people need to change. The old way of working, just purely because simply everything's go really quickly and really fast with COVID. So people had to stay at home. They could not go to work. So people start using different things, and it was completely new for them. And it was like, sometimes a shock. But yeah, I think that it's so many things around the market and so many different philosophy that it's so sometimes, tough to find the right way how to deal with your team and which philosophy is the best.
That
And
might
so,
be exactly overwhelming, might be overwhelming, and actually the wrong methods or
mhm,
the approaches used wrongly on an like not correct environment might
uh-huh,
cause also losses. So it's not that there are so many things available on the market that you just take any of those and it's going to be a success. It's either way, it's a different way around. So, but yeah, let us now go again, Kasia. I would recommend to
mhm,
this new ways of working definition, so we get back there on what it actually means, like from the theory perspective, and then we can go into the practice and maybe share
mhm.
some experience here.
Okay, I've got one more definition that says the new ways of working is an initiative looking to boost flexibility and retention, largely by removing many of the barriers and management styles of the past and bringing them into line with a modern, multi-generational workforce. So
Hell
this
yeah.
was,
Sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds
this
like
was
blah 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 blah
really,
buzzword. Yeah, it doesn't have content for me. But yeah, actually, this is right. It's very generic. But then, and yeah, this is the term that was already defined somehow. But then, if we talk about these new ways of working, the first question that come to my mind is: so, what is the standard way of working?
yeah, what
So,
is, yeah,
why we have the new one? So, what was wrong in the standard way? And when we think about it, so we would need to get back into
mhm,
like when company is created, when the new organization is set up. Basically, how it starts is that you have an owner, and there is usually one person that either sells his own product or make engineering and tries to sell the product, and then this person also at the beginning deals with everything around, so like accounting
yeah,
or marketing, and unless it's from beginning outsourced. And so a lot of roles in
in one
one
person, yeah, one
hands.
person. Mm-hmm.
And then when company grows, yeah, the people are hired, the departments are created, the
Mm-hmm.
specialization in the departments appear, and people directly come into this mode of being within one department, which causes kind of silo thinking. So I
Mm-hmm.
deal with the marketing. This is my stuff. So basically, I deal with marketing, and that's my place. And then the whole story
Sometimes
starts.
people also think that they the best, that no one they cannot delegate stuff. So this is one of the things that managers needs to deal with.
Yeah,
They,
that's another part of the story. We could have a separate, I guess,
yeah,
talk
I
about
guess.
delegation. But this silo thinking and this specialization, which is good. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, it has also its backgrounds and it's needed, but it causes also that you need leaders to lead those departments. Sometimes you take them from.
Bart, what I think that very often people, when they open the company, they just basically got great idea, they've got passion, and they start business, and after a few years or maybe 10 or whatever, they when the company grow, this is when they realize that there is not enough skills. They don't know how to deal with people, they don't know how to manage people, and this is, I think, when they start thinking about different ways of managing and the different philosophies, This is my experience from England, that I met many business owners, and they've been like growing up to certain level, and then they just start thinking, what I need to do next. I don't know what to do next to grow. And this is very, this is common, experience for me.
That is great example that you're giving, because actually what is happening when the company organically grows is
Mm-hmm.
that or naturally grows, or by acquisition, whatever is the way. We have the leaders, and sometimes they are coming from inside the company, being nominated or upgraded from the specialist role, but not
Mm-hmm.
really prepared for that role. And then what starts is a demand and control situation, so that there is a task oriented leadership,
Mm-hmm.
where how and what is being told. And of course, in this kind of environment, it's hard to get any creativity or innovation. If you're
Mm-hmm.
being said what to do, it's hard to be innovative, right? But this is usually what happens. And the leaders, the leaders that start the journey, it happens that because it was not told them, they know the best, and they don't see that their role has changed from knowing the most and the best into managing the people that know the best. So this is what is happening. And also when the company grows, then we have the vision and mission in a company,
Yeah.
but the bigger the company, the more the people are detached from the vision and mission.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
is natural, obviously. So then when you ask someone in the team, like, why we do this business in general, it's like,
They,
yeah, I
what?
just do my work.
Yeah.
But
So
I
this
don't
is
have a
also
broader context.
very common. It's very interesting when you actually ask person, what are you paid for? They don't know. Sometimes it's like, So this is something that I, also came across, that people they just working basically without thinking what they doing, why they doing, what is the mission, what is the vision, what they actually need, what is the passion. So,
I would
mm,
say it lands on the shoulders of the leadership teams and the leaders to explain this and drive, especially the new joiners, why we are
what
here,
is the goal?
why what we do is important here. But this is another symptom. So when the company grows slowly, there are
Uh,
more and more challenges on the way.
yeah.
And at the end, what we get is that the companies, as you said, get stuck. So we have quite a big companies,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the demand and control way of working, and the lost vision,
Mm-hmm.
then the organization got stuck. There is no innovation and speed. When there's on the other side good quality and reliability, so the products are
Mm-hmm.
good because we do it in our specialized team, so we do good job. But
Yeah.
because of the demand and control, we are not really innovative there. If you put on top that many times the money is the biggest motivator, and we don't consider other motivators, intrinsic motivators,
Mm-hmm.
and then in such companies you put IT like any other department there, just sitting with guys, we don't know how they speak, what they speak, they're quite expensive, we don't see the value there. This gives the picture of like the company that is stuck, and I see it a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So the from one side, the IT should be perceived as the value enabler, because
Yeah.
those are the guys with the data analytics, with this Internet of Things, automations, all of this can really deliver value, but they are not perceived this way.
But I remember when you mentioned recently when we chat about the IT, and I did not realize actually till you told me that now without IT the company cannot exist basically. So whatever you are doing there,
Yeah,
we
there
we
is
all
this
need
saying.
this. We
There is
all
this
need
saying
this.
that There's the
So
saying that every company today is an IT company. I mean,
yeah,
if you want to survive, because whatever you do, if you sell something through the internet, you need a website, even if
yeah.
you're a small company. If you want to do analytics of your sales, you need a software for this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things, and everything is IT related. So that gives the impression for the companies that from one side grew quite fast or organically,
Mm-hmm.
and got stuck because from one side the leadership style and approach, on the other side not really benefiting from the technology as much as they could.
So, Bart, if you will say in your words, because I'm thinking, like you mentioned, when the person start the company, or maybe if they already run a company and they are in maybe position now that they need some tools basically for the company. Where would you start? Where would you lead them to start from what? From basic books, basically about leadership, to listen some YouTube, or just if there is maybe something that you know from different areas that can be
Yeah.
very valuable.
If I'm anyone to advise such things, yeah, depending on the level of the person that is with these topics, you can get advanced. You can actually learn the whole life. It's never
Yeah.
enough.
It's
If
a never
it's
ending story. Yeah.
exactly, but generally attending the leadership courses and getting knowledge there, either from Now Institute or any other organization, is always a good solution. But the ones that go with the practical examples, like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to set up strategic objectives and you want to start with objective key results,
Mm-hmm.
do the training which treats about objective key results, but in a practical manner. I see
Mm-hmm.
a lot of courses around that are just theoretical and no value, but they sound great. But really, you don't know the next day how to utilize it. But
Yeah.
this brings me to the point, because we were supposed to talk about the leadership, and you started about the trainings and how to approach it. But I think that the new ways of working is all around leadership,
Mm-hmm.
because everything starts on top, from the senior leadership teams into the leadership teams and on any level.
Mm-hmm.
But from my perspective, when we think around new ways of working and new leadership, we would need to first understand, like, what is the standard leadership? Well, why
Yeah.
we lead this way?
Because
And
it used to work before, so it's not something that
exactly,
the old way it's bad. It's not that. It's just it's out of date basically, and it needs to be slightly modern to accommodate new basically life, and especially with COVID, because COVID changed many things. So if you can just say
yeah,
what
I agree with you.
in
I
your
agree with you that COVID accelerated certain things,
uh-huh.
certainly. But at the end, all of this, when you talk about this standard way of working, yeah, this is not bad,
Hmm.
as you said. It's as good as any other. The question is
Yeah.
if it fulfills the needs of the organization, and in many cases, not. And the point is that all this, how we work now, started with, I don't know if you recall, a guy from the 20th century, Frederick Taylor. He made this
Yeah.
scientific management theory, where he basically says that we should, in our business, separate the design of the business from the execution. So
Hmm.
what he's basically saying is, we have these leaders that do the strategy of the organization, budgets, plannings, also structures of the organization, and then
Hmm.
we have the people that work in the organization, the teams, the team members, and they execute. So there was, from the 20th century, and this is how the organization are set up now. So this caused actually directly the demand and control. So we have a leader who says what to do, right? And this is the standard way that we know now. This
Yeah.
is of course good in stable times. So when you have um, organizations where you produce the same product for years, the situation is stable, then having such structures, hierarchical structures, and demand control approach works. It's fine.
Hmm.
What changed now is complexity. So lately, and
Hmm.
COVID helped, of course,
Yeah.
uh, environment is much more complex. And then Kasia might ask, like, okay, so why do we have complexity today? It was not there before, like 10 years ago. Of course it was, but not to this extent. So with
Yeah.
this digital revolution that we're going now through, that is accelerating everything, we have more complexity because we have more competitors. Some companies start to use this digital world, to speed innovation. So more innovation, more competitors, and at the end, complexity arises.
Hmm.
So when you think about, this standard way of working where we have certain goals and suddenly complexity hits, and then you have these leaders that they get contradictory goals. So from one side you tell them, yeah, I want to have good products, but on the other side I want to have them fast. You say, I want to have reliable products, yeah, but I want to have innovative products.
Hmm.
So, and then what leaders do, they try to put measures on this, and those are contradictory. So what happens in the organizations is they change complexity in the in the world that is happening around in the environment and change it into complicatedness in the organization. So they add more processes,
Mm-hmm.
they may add more procedures, and in the organization cannot stand it anymore. So then what happens, and I see this, so this is experience, the team members come to the senior leadership team for advice because they don't know anymore how to move in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So the senior
Is
leadership
this
team,
because of the no basically procedures or what?
yeah,
Why?
you have this goal, so you want to have something faster, so you put KPIs on it. You
Mm-hmm.
put some new
But
measurements.
talking from my perspective,
Yeah.
mainly company that I'm like I've seen, um, they basically forget about procedures. So
Okay. Quite
just
opposite.
reminder that without procedure is much more difficult to get anywhere high. So.
I guess Kasia is around balance. Organizations that I work for is like 150,000 employees. The
Mhm.
procedures, they must be there, otherwise you would not be able to
Yeah,
function. But
yeah,
the problem is when you have too many procedures and you over
yeah.
engineer. On the other side, from your perspective, not having procedures is the same bad as having too many procedures. So it's about
So
the
that's
balance.
the right balance. Yeah.
Exactly. But so we have these people then coming to the senior leadership teams, and the senior leadership teams, instead of bringing value to the organization, selling the products, doing the business, they try to solve the issues they cause. So this complicatedness,
Hmm.
and we have a circle,
So
you
they do
know.
not look what actually caused the problem and try to, stop this happening in the future. They just resolving the problem at the time. Yeah.
I would say
Oh,
differently. They, instead of doing what they are meant to do, so doing the business, they
mm-hmm.
start to work with the teams on solving internal problems of procedures. And then, like, if you look at it, like, um, and on average,
Mm-hmm.
leader needs 7 approvals in the big organization to push something through, to take a decision. 7
Mm-hmm.
approvals. According to some of the surveys I read from Gallup Institute,
Mm-hmm.
40% of time the leader spends on preparing the reports,
Mm-hmm.
and then 30 to 60% of time, the rest of the time, on meeting with the peers, so on the same level. So then the question appears: what is really value adding
Mm-hmm.
activity of the leader? So what kind of value he brings to the organization if he's managing internally the
Yeah.
problems that were caused by the leaders, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this where we come actually to new ways of working. So this is something that the new ways of working is trying to resolve, right? So how not to make a demand and control and this hierarchical power game, but rather create an environment in
Mm-hmm.
which we have people empowered, to act, to think with their brains, not to follow instructions. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, this is what new ways of working is about. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we can elaborate more on this, of course, but I don't know if there are any questions or any comments
I
or.
was just thinking, yeah, there is still people, sorry, Bart, joining from the wrong link basically, and instead of,
Okay, hello.
so I need to like, swap things around.
But we good, yeah?
I hope
So,
if there is any question, guys, feel free to ask. If there is any, maybe if you've got any question or maybe examples from your company where you work or maybe you manage. For me, the new ways of working is just basically how I understand that whatever was in the past, it was good, but now it needs to be slightly altered and maybe mixed around and basically just adjust to the company where you at the moment, because every company is different, and to look around what will work for you, because my organization is different than yours, and I'm mainly working with like it's b2b, basically b2c. There is no products involved, so
hmm.
it's slightly different, and my problems and my issues are different than yours, and this is how I hear what you are saying.
We actually just in the middle of talking about the new ways of working
Yeah.
and the leadership topic here. So how the basically demand and control coming from the old 20s doesn't work now. basically because of the complexity that we having in our organizations, regardless actually of the industry now. So the question that we need to ask is, how can we really make an environment for the people to act in the organizations and not doing micromanagement and put processes around, roles around this. So just to try to structure everything in a complex world is not possible to structure everything. So the question is how to achieve this new state of mind. And then if you consider that the main value driver in the company is the team, not the person, not the leader as such, not individual, but the team, then what is changing now is that the leader actually needs to be as tight connected to the team as possible. You know, so in order to be able to frame, to make the environment to grow and to be creative, you know, you need, the leader needs to set up the goals and objectives, not the tasks. So we're talking, for instance, here about using objective key results approach, where the leader basically gives the objectives to be fulfilled, says what needs to be done, but doesn't say how it needs to be done. And it's a team which thinks how it needs to be done. And what we achieve through this is that the people don't perform the task, but they act and they drive initiatives. So it's their baby at the end, you know, so they are part of the organization. And this is the major shift that should happen when we come to the leadership, that the leaders are aware that their role is not to tell what to do, but tell what needs to be done, and then with team assist when the obstacles appear. Because we can't
being involved, not just left them alone, basically.
Yeah. So the style of just living alone or the style of just giving the tasks, neither of those work in the complex world. Because then if you think about it, the role of the leader now is rather to be an integrator, an orchestrator, right? Because everything around gets more complex and sophisticated. So we have more specialists. So the leader is not anymore for him possible to understand every piece of the what is happening.
Yeah,
either technical or from the process perspective. So he needs to have great people in the team and integrate them rather than saying what needs to be done. So the integrator role is the second part, which I would add here is, you know, we have in big companies this thing of performance assessments. Yeah, you have yearly ones, you have mid-year, and what usually is there is that the leaders talk about the performance of the individual, right? So what we should looking at is look at the performance of the team, and the goals and objectives and the performance measures should be linked to the team goals, not to the individual
not to
goals,
the individual.
right? So to promote the team work. And what I see sometimes in the organization is that there is this team flavor in the performance review, right? But the leader is still so far from the team that he's not able to judge it. It's based on what the other person says. And that is proving the point that the leaders need to be very tightly connected to the teams, acting as integrators, and also looking at how the cooperation in the teams happen, right? So what are the relations, how the team members cooperate in order to be able to judge it later. Of course, it's subjective, but at the end, the leader can say that he's seen the behaviors of the team members and can judge or drive the behavior into different direction. Because if you imagine, what I believe is there's nothing like people management anymore. There is behavior management. You know, so it's a matter of creating the environment.
Especially when you've got like all different, you know, millennials, baby, whatever they called, and all X, Y, Z. You know, you've got so many different behavior. It's really good thing to look at.
And in order to manage the behavior, you can't be in the old world of demand and control. you need to create an environment where you can observe how the team acts, and then correct the behaviors into the team spirit behaviors, but not manage the tasks of the people. And this is the biggest difference in the new ways of working.
Mhm.
It's a mindset shift for the leaders to
With the demand and needs, basically, this is something that I think after 2 years, people's got enough. I think this is kind of barrier that you can work like that for like maybe 2, 3 years, and then you've got just enough, basically. So the company needs to finally find the different way, basically, to just swift
yeah.
between, because it's not working well. I used to work in the company like that, and it was really frustrating. That all was matter. It was just basically demand, 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 and do this, that, and that.
Yeah,
This is
so there is
values
an
for me.
example from the my environment coming, but
Uh-huh.
it will be applicable also for various other areas. If you take as an example the project manager role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a person who is nominated as a power, a mandate,
Mm-hmm.
disciplinary mandate to drive the project. So it's dealing and it's trying to deliver the project within scope, time, quality, and budget, right? So of course, this is kind of coming from the demand and control. We have a hierarchy, we have a project manager, but the same is possible without the hierarchy, demand and control. So if you take on the other side as an example, a product
Mm-hmm.
owner is a role that is used in agile world when you run agile projects. Of course, agility we can say it's a buzzword and stuff, but there's a lot behind. But
Uh-huh.
in agility, it goes mostly about you have a small cross-functional teams responsible for some product service end to end, and then you have a product owner who is not disciplinary leader, is not a manager of those people,
Yeah.
but is managing the development of the service of product of these people.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that even he is not a disciplinary leader, not a manager, doesn't do assessments of performance assessment of those people, still
Mm-hmm.
has a power over those people. And how it
And he,
happens?
yeah.
He's integrator and he understands what is the business value that needs to be delivered, and he can translate these requirements into the team's
Mm-hmm.
objectives. He's talking about what needs to be done, not how needs to be done. This is a role
Yeah.
of the team. And secondly, he can make a compelling story. So he can sell the vision. And this proves that this new ways of working where we have the leaders that are there because they are able to influence, but
Mm-hmm.
not because they have the boss sticker, works. This
Yeah.
works. But it's a matter of enabling this in the organization and having the conscious leaders that understand this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mindset shift, as I say, because it's quite obvious that normally when you land in an organization, you have a disciplinary leader, you have your role, and you do your stuff. But at the end, the world evolved, and this what we're talking now about, it's proven already. This is nothing new. Yeah, and my question would be how we could now utilize those practices coming from Agile, from IT in other
Mm-hmm.
companies. What I see happening is that, for instance, in the companies that not only delivers develop products but also deliver services like HR, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
started to also experiment with Agile. You know, because it basically works, and what is found out, it works out of IT area as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, many things. I don't know how much more time we have because we could talk endlessly here. I could
So
mention for
maybe
instance,
just recap, Bartek, if you can
yeah.
just say in your words, the what is the new, the new role for the senior leadership teams. So
Oh,
just
to
in
senior.
few.
For now, I was just talking, Kasia, about the teams, the leaders of the teams. But for senior leadership team, it's another
Oh,
story. Maybe
okay.
maybe two sentences of this, because if we consider that for the leaders that directly lead the teams, yeah, they need to through setting objectives properly, not
Mm-hmm.
narrowing them down to tasks, and making the environment to experiment, and the failure culture that is very famous lately,
Yeah.
and being an integrator, an enabler. Yeah, we could
Amazing.
discuss about
Yeah.
how to do it for another session, like 3 hours even. This is for the leaders that manage the teams directly. But when it comes to the senior leadership teams, right, their role is not only to create environment for those, let's say, integrators, product owners to act in the organization. For instance,
Mhm.
if we have a product owners in the organization that don't have uh, like disciplinary power over people, and the senior leadership teams decide this is not correct, this will not happen. So the role of the senior leadership team is also to understand this approach and
Mhm.
giving the space and environment for the people to go this way, right? So to enable those leaders to think this way. Yeah, but there is something else there, because the role of the senior leadership teams is also to share the context of the organization. So it's many times missing, like there's a decision, but people don't understand where this is coming from.
Mhm.
How can you believe in something or proceed with the change that is requested from you if you don't know the context? So the senior leadership teams should be actually provided a context, and then removing the obstacles from the people to act, you know, and don't kill the integrator roles in the organization. So a bit different than for the leaders that directly lead the teams.
Mhm.
Yeah, but just to sum up, so you
Yeah.
know, um, all of the organizations, big organizations, start with the demand control, hierarchy, a lot of procedures and processes.
Yeah.
The question is how fast they can move into and shift the way they work and lead into, enabling the people, because the people perform the job, they know
Yeah.
best what needs to be improved, coming from lean topics, but they
Yeah.
also know what are the struggles, and they need to understand
So
the business context in order
basically, they
to
need
act.
to listen. Leaders need to
Yeah,
listen,
that's good. Yeah, leaders need to listen.
not only
Exactly.
talk. Not only talk. Yeah. So
So yeah, I'm talking too much. You're right, actually. So
yeah, we are just basically, I think, coming to the end. We are just using this time. I would like to say to every mom, Happy Mother's Day. So I hope you ladies had a great day with your kids, and I hope not just today is a great day because of Mother's Day. I wish you every day to be the same, basically. And Bart, maybe you would like to, because we're gonna do another live next Wednesday.
it was intro of the intro. The topic of
Yeah,
new ways of working is very broad. We didn't even touch
touch.
the surface. It
Yeah.
is really, and even when it comes to leadership and what you can do there, and enable to be able to enable the teams, it's huge. So we can take any other topic related to this. As I said, I experimented a lot with various approaches, a lot of lessons learned, a lot of failures on the way, that brought us lessons learned. So certainly we can talk if there are any specific topics or questions, we can of course address directly to any of those. But if not, then maybe these ideas come later, and if not, then we drag a bit agility as such, and agility
Mhm.
in various organizations, not only in IT.
In IT.
We
Mhm.
can, we can talk about objective key results, many various ideas, possibilities. We say thank you also, all the best to all moms and to
Yeah,
my mom. I'm not sure if it's watching, if my mom is
my
watching.
mom too.
Thank you for today, and
Thank you,
then we see
everyone.
each other next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Have a lovely evening and good luck. Take care.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.